Today I'm going to talk about the update to TilePlus Toolkit for version 5. TilePlus Painter has been updated a bit with some convenience features. You can read about it in documentation. Documentation has been completely overhauled and is now online, although some is included with the package. You can get to it through the tools. You can't see this because I'm on a Mac, but there's a menu item for online docs. There's a section on the demonstration applications. There's a whole section on the painter. Its user guide is online. Huge section on all the different parts of TilePlus Toolkit, and it's searchable. And the XML documentation can either be downloaded or you can see it online, including a class hierarchy. This is redone in Deoxygen, if that's how you pronounce it. It's definitely superior to what I was using before. Demos, some old demos have been removed. There's some new layout system demos. Here's the layout system basic demo that I'll show you. You can see the boxes are showing the area that's supposed to be filled in and removed. If we you can see how it's filling in and moving to another tile scene. You can see how it's adding and deleting. There's a new some new features like zones that put on animated prefabs and a few other things. And you can read about this in the documentation. There's also a side-scrolling version of this. Zoom in a bit. You can see as we move along, there's parallax. And it's chunking in and out new sections of the tile map as we move along. The screen position out of Frustrum is just an editor error that's not important. So this is a whole giant demo, and the documentation website has a big explanation of how it works. There's a number of new simple demos. Some of these are the same. The oddities ones includes the first demo I ever actually did, which is the collision demo, and you can see here one of the reasons I'm showing this, I'm just going to pause it a second because it's a little noisy, is there's tweening being done in here, and this is Services Inspector. We can watch this isn't automatically updating. This is a real time showing you, and I know it's going by really fast. It has all the information about the tweens. This is really for debugging. It has nothing to do with runtime. Other interesting oddity demos are the jumper. This is a demonstration of tile UI. This is all tiles. The only thing that's on our so-called game controller is a really interesting component called TP input action to tile, which basically lets you have one or more tile map pairs, and it will send click and hover messages to individual tiles. So I'll show you how this works. If you click in the middle, there's like a dead zone. If you click near one of the edges, the tile actually gets a message saying which direction to go in. You'll notice these are oversized sprites, and it works when they're even larger. So this is fun to play with. Another oddity demo is patterns, which is pretty interesting because it shows the a way of inter-tile to tile communication. Again, there's really Not much going on in the controller except this thing here, which basically lets you click on the screen and it sends messages to tiles. And really the tiles are just messaging other tiles. If you look at the system information window, which shows it's creating a whole lot of little tasks, and you'll notice this is the internal, there's an internal updater now by using the player loop or an awaitable, depending on how that works with your system. And you can see how fast this all works. This is doing tweens. And you know, I've mentioned tweening. Probably one of the most interesting things in this new distribution is a tweener. If we look at a demo for the tweener, there's you can tween tiles, and just so this doesn't take too long, this is approximately 400 tweens running at the same time. And these here are actually tweening the tile sprites matrix directly. And you can look at the system information, and we'll look at the tween monitor. Now if we put that on, that slows things down. Another way to look at it is in the services inspector, because this is a service. And here it'll only update about once a second. But it's running 400 tweens, and if we look at the amount of time it's taking, it's about a little over a millisecond. This is very efficient. I will say this is running on a Mac Mini M4 Pro, so it's pretty fast single-threaded performance. Here's some GameObjects tweening, and I'll show a little bit more about that for a minute. Let's go back in the project, and we look at GameObject examples. There's, there we go. If we look at this here, come a little closer. You can see here the capsule is actually being tweened along a path. And there's two different ways to do paths, either by specifying the points or using a Unity spline. I'll just show how that works for a second. If we take a look at, see, I have a component here that lets you pick what the target, what type of tween you're doing, etc. For tile tweens, if we look at Painter, switch this back to 2D, and look at edit mode, look at these tiles. You can see here that this is a tile, and you can pick any one of these different targets, and it'll change the fields that you can edit. And you can have separate ease functions for, if you're using matrix, you can have separate ease functions for each one of these things. And this is all done in one operation when you're tweening a tile matrix. It's not done with 3 separate tweens. It can be a little complicated to use, but it's actually works really well and is extremely efficient, as you can see. And you can do really all kinds of strange things by playing with the matrix. And again, you can see this stuff is really very efficient. It's using almost no part of the of your update times at all. There's a lot to explore there, and it's all fully documented. Tile UI is another interesting thing. It may seem kind of weird, but it's a handy way to have interactive things in your tiles, in your scene rather, on your tile maps that people can just click on. It doesn't really have to be buttons. Hover zones can be used for tooltips. So if I go over here, you can see it's got a tooltip, animated button, radio buttons, up-down buttons. Check boxes, radio buttons using tags, radio buttons using a little zone you can draw while editing. This is showing hover without a tooltip. And there's a interface for doing UI. It makes it real easy to use. You can't really do any kind of string input, but it can be really handy, and that's what's used in the layout demo. If we go back and look at that, if we look at the top-down demo scene, you can see here this little separate tile map has all these different UI type items on them. And these things can be updated very simply just by sending messages using the the messaging system built into TilePlus. I know there's a lot going on. I would really suggest reading the documentation. If you're a current user of TilePlus Toolkit, I would suggest not loading this new version into an existing project. Make a copy of your project and try it out somewhere else. There's an awful lot of changes. Thanks for listening, and this will be posted on the Unity Asset Store fairly soon. Thank you. Bye.